When someone starts pulling away, you feel it in your chest. That quiet panic, that confusing ache. But what if I told you it's not about you? Today, we're breaking down the real psychology of why people distance themselves when things get real, and more importantly, what you can do about it. Pay attention to this, because it changes everything. First, consider the fear of vulnerability. When connection deepens, walls come up, because getting close means risking hurt. Your brain sees intimacy as a threat, so it triggers protection mode. Think about it. Have you ever pulled back right when things felt good? That's not coldness, that's fear. But here's the truth. Fear can be managed. Second, past wounds show up. Maybe they were abandoned before, or maybe love felt unsafe growing up. So now their nervous system is on high alert. Your closeness triggers old pain. It's not about your worth, it's about their history. A mini example is when they get quiet after a great date, not because they're bored, but because it felt too good. This is where it gets interesting. Third, everyone has an intimacy threshold. It's the emotional distance they can handle before panic hits. When you cross it, they pull back to reset. It's like an emotional thermostat. Too hot, they cool down. Too cold, they seek warmth. You're not being rejected, you're hitting their limit. For instance, they might text less after you say, "I care about you." Pay attention to this pattern. Fourth is the self-sabotage loop. Some people don't believe they deserve love, so when it shows up, they unconsciously push it away. It feels safer to leave first than be left. Your consistency feels uncomfortable to them because chaos feels familiar and peace feels foreign. A mini example is when they start a fight right after you plan a future together. But here's what most miss. Fifth is the need for control. When emotions get big, control feels lost, so they create distance to feel safe again. It's not manipulation, it's survival. Your feelings feel like pressure to them, so they step back to breathe. An example is when they go silent after you share something deep. This is critical. Don't skip this. Sixth, attachment styles drive behavior. Avoidant types need space to process closeness, while anxious types chase when they feel distance. It's a dance wired in childhood. You're not crazy, you're just triggered. Their pull away isn't about your value. A mini example is when they say, "I need space," but you hear, "I don't want you." But here's the shift. Seventh is what you can control. You can't fix their fear, but you can hold your ground. Stay calm when they pull away. Don't chase. Don't punish. Give space without disappearing. Your stability becomes their safe place. For example, if they go quiet, you say, "I'm here when you're ready." And then you live your life. That's power. That's peace. Pay attention to this next part. Here's what no one tells you. Pulling away isn't always rejection. Sometimes it's processing. Sometimes it's fear. Your job isn't to fix them. Your job is to stay grounded in your worth. Repeat that. Your worth isn't negotiable. Let's go deeper. When you chase someone pulling away, you teach them distance works. But when you stay steady, you teach them closeness is safe. A mini example is when they cancel plans, and you respond with kindness, not anger. That calm energy changes everything. But here's the truth. You can't control their healing timeline. You can only control your response. And your response shapes the relationship. If you react from fear, you create more distance. If you respond from strength, you create safety. For example, if they need space, you say, "Okay," and then you focus on you. That's power. That's peace. This is where it gets interesting. The people who pull away often want connection most, but their fear is louder than their desire. So they test you. They create distance to see if you'll stay without losing yourself. Your calm consistency is the answer they need. Not chasing, not punishing, just steady love. Pay attention to this. If you've been the one pulling away, this is for you too. Your fear is valid. Your wounds matter. But hiding doesn't protect your heart. It isolates it. Small steps toward vulnerability rebuild trust. Tell them, "I'm scared, but I want to try." That honesty is courage. A mini example is when you feel overwhelmed, you say, "I need 10 minutes," and then you return. That's secure love in action. But here's what changes everything. Relationships aren't about perfect timing. They're about two people choosing to show up, even when it's scary. When you understand the psychology, you stop taking distance personally. You start responding with wisdom. For example, when they go quiet, instead of spiraling, you breathe. You remind yourself, "This isn't about my worth." That shift frees you. Pay attention to this pattern. The cycle breaks when one person stays grounded. Not perfect, not fearless, just grounded. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to trust your value. A mini example is when they pull back and you feel the urge to chase, but you pause. You choose you. That's the breakthrough. But here's the truth. Healing isn't linear. Love isn't a fix. Some people aren't ready, and that's okay. Your peace matters more than their potential. If they keep pulling away without effort to return, you get to choose. Do I stay in the chase, or do I choose my peace? For example, if you've given space and stayed kind, but they're still distant, that's your answer. Honor it. This is where it gets real. You deserve someone who chooses you consistently. Not when it's easy, not when they're lonely, but when it matters. Understanding psychology helps you see clearly. Not to manipulate, not to fix, but to protect your heart. A mini example is when you notice the pattern, you set a gentle boundary. I care about you, and I need consistency. That's self-respect in action. Pay attention to this. The right person won't make you guess. They won't keep you in emotional limbo. They'll show up. They'll communicate. They'll try. And if they pull away, they'll return with honesty. That's the difference between fear and love. An example is when they say, "I got scared," not "you're too much." That accountability is maturity. But here's what most miss. Your healing matters just as much. If you always chase, you lose yourself. If you always wait, you forget your worth. Balance is key. Care deeply, stay grounded. A mini example is when you feel anxious. You journal, you breathe, you reach out to a friend. You regulate yourself instead of demanding they fix you. That's emotional strength. This is where it gets interesting. Love shouldn't feel like walking on eggshells. It should feel like coming home. If you're constantly analyzing their silence, ask yourself, is this relationship adding to my peace or draining it? For example, if you feel exhausted after every interaction, that's data. Honor what your body is telling you. Pay attention to this truth. You teach people how to treat you by what you accept. If you accept hot and cold, you'll get more of it. If you expect respect, you attract it. Not by demanding, but by embodying. A mini example is when you stop over-explaining and stop apologizing for your needs. You simply state them calmly and clearly. That energy shifts everything. But here's the shift. The goal isn't to keep someone. The goal is to build a connection where both people choose to stay willingly, joyfully, and consistently. When you understand the psychology, you stop begging for breadcrumbs. You start expecting a feast. For example, you notice the pattern early, you communicate, and you observe their response. Their actions give you clarity. This is critical. Don't skip this. Your peace is non-negotiable. Your worth isn't up for debate. And love should feel like safety, not confusion. If you take nothing else from this, take this. You are enough, exactly as you are. The right person won't need you to shrink. They'll celebrate your depth. Pay attention to this final truth. Healing happens in connection, but starts within. Do your work. Honor your feelings. Set your boundaries. And let love find you in that grounded space. Because when you choose yourself, you make room for love that chooses you back. If this resonated, you're not alone. So many of us are learning this dance.